Hey, what's up? It's Greg with How to Build Games, and today we're going to talk about how to pass variables between scripts in C#. Before we get into it, though, if you're new here, it'd be great if you could give me a subscribe because I'd love to see who this is helping, and that encourages me to create more content like this in the future. So let's jump right into Unity and get going. All right, so here we are in Unity. We're going to start by setting up a couple of things. I'm going to go to Game Object, add a 3D object called Cube, and I'm going to create an empty. We're going to call that one POS Manager, as in Position Manager. Then we're going to create a couple of scripts over here. I'm going to call one Cube Script, and I'm going to call the other one Show Changed Position. And I'm going to attach Cube Script to the cube by selecting it here and then dragging it over. I'm going to do the same thing here with Pause Manager. I'm going to click that, drag that over there. Need one more thing in the scene. Game Object UI Text, which shows up down there at the bottom. I use my mouse wheel over here to roll out just a little bit, scroll out, and just kind of move that up and over where we can see it a little bit better. Where it's at exactly really doesn't matter as long as you can see it. All right, now for the good stuff. So I'm going to click on Pause Manager to select that, and then double click on Show Changed Position to open that up. We're going to work on this one first. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the start. And before we can do the other thing we need to do, I'm going to do using Unity Engine.ui. That will allow us to get to the text element, which is what we need. So public text, pause text for position text. And we're going to get back to this one in update. Switch back to Unity. I'm going to go to my cube. I'm going to double click on my cube script. And over here in the public variables, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do public because we want to get to it from the inspector. And I'm going to do show changed position, which is the same name as this script. You can call this something different if you'd like, but these have to be exactly the same. Now, here I'm just going to call it Pause Manager. That's basically what we're going to kind of reference. Going to delete the start, but before we do things in update, I'm going to go back to show change position because we need to put in our function that sets us up. So we've got our pause text. Now we're going to make a function called update. It's going to be a public void, and it's going to be called set x position. It's going to take a float, and we'll call it new x pause. Doesn't matter what we call it. From there, we're going to say pause text dot text equals new x pause. So this function called setXPosition takes in a floating point called new x pause and updates the text with that number that we get. But it's giving me the little red thing, which means you need to make it happy and put toString on there. And we don't actually need the update function in there at all. So to refresh, Pause Manager has this script called show change position. Got a reference to a pause text. Click the text, drag that in there. Double click this to go back to it. What that's going to do, we've got a reference to that, and whenever this function gets called, it's going to update that. Now, let's go on the cube script. You can click it from here, or if you're back in Unity, go there, double click on cube script. What we're going to do here is inside the update, we're going to call that pause manager. And when we do, we're going to call setXPosition. what we're going to do, transform position.x. Now, you may or may not have gotten into game objects and stuff like that. That's another video, but just know that because this says transform, we're using the transform from the current game object. The transform position, the x. It's Unity 3D, we're using XYZ, but we just want the x coordinate. So every time it updates, once per frame, so just basically think of it as constantly, it's going to call the pause manager. It's going to call the setX position transform position x. The only other thing that we've got to do to make this work, pause manager show changed position is waiting for a script called show changed position, which is on position manager. Script there, matching the script here. What we want. Hit play, see our handiwork. Minus 0.34. I've clicked the cube. You see 0.34. Now you can either move this X, or you can grab the red arrow over here and move it back and forth, and that's it. As you move this around, the X changes up here. Also click that X and change that, or type something in. Doesn't matter. But as this moves, it is constantly calling PauseX Manager, which is our name for reference to show changed position. And it's saying setX position to blah, blah, blah. And over here, the function called setX position says, okay, update the text with that floating point to a string. That's it. That is how you pass variables between scripts in C#. The variable is coming from the cube. It's that X position over here, and it's sending it to this position manager over here, which is updating the text over here. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. This isn't the only way to do it, but there are other ways. This is an easy way that's not terribly complicated. That's why I wanted to start with this. I'm going to keep doing more Unity beginner tips and tricks. And give us a thumbs up and a comment if you like it. Consider subscribe. We'll catch you next time.